I'm about to share something that will sound almost dangerous, because it challenges everything most women have been told about confidence, attraction, and self-worth. And it begins not with a new outfit, a magic pill, or some manipulative tactic, but with my hormones. Yes, the quiet, invisible, often ignored drivers of energy, mood, desire, and presence. Because 30 days ago, I was exhausted, moody, unpredictable, chasing validation in ways that left me drained. And I thought the problem was external. I thought I just needed the right man, the right job, the right routine, when in truth, the issue was entirely internal. The chemistry inside my body was sabotaging my potential. And once I realized that, the transformation began. Subtly at first, a shift in energy I barely noticed in the mirror. A calm replacing the tension I had carried for years. But within a week, everything around me began to respond differently. Colleagues, friends, even strangers, unconsciously adjusting to the presence of a woman whose nervous system was no longer in chaos. And psychology backs this. People mirror energy long before they mirror words. And a woman whose internal rhythm is balanced becomes magnetic. Not because she is trying, but because she has stopped leaking energy, stopped performing, stopped negotiating for attention. And when you understand that, when you see how subtle regulation can create massive external influence, you start to recognize that your body is your most powerful tool, your invisible ally. And as I experimented with sleep, nutrition, light exposure, and mindful movement, I began to notice changes that no supplement or external hack could produce. My clarity sharpened, my presence intensified, my moods became predictable in the best sense, and the confidence that emerged was dangerous. Because it was real, it was anchored, and it demanded recognition, whether I asked for it or not. And men who once ignored me now sought my attention. Women who once overlooked me now leaned in, intrigued, because they could sense the alignment, the sovereignty, the deliberate regulation of energy. And I want you to feel that too, because the first step is seeing that everything begins internally. And if this resonates, comment your biggest takeaway, subscribe, turn on notifications, because what comes next will teach you how to amplify that invisible power into an unstoppable force that commands respect and attraction without effort. By the second week, the changes became both visible and measurable, not in dramatic ways, but in the quiet shifts that people notice subconsciously. My posture became more deliberate, my gestures more measured, my speech slower, richer, more intentional. And this is where the intersection of philosophy, psychology, and feminine power becomes obvious. Because as Aristotle said, excellence is not an act but a habit. And regulating your internal chemistry is the ultimate habit, shaping thought, mood, and presence simultaneously. And as I aligned my cycles, honored my hunger cues, my energy fluctuations, and my emotional boundaries, I began to notice a new phenomenon. Men responded differently, not because I pursued them, but because my presence invited focus. And women watched differently, not because I demanded attention, but because the energy I radiated was rare, coherent, and harmonious. And this is the psychological principle few women understand. When your internal system is stable, you no longer have to chase desire. You no longer have to perform. You no longer have to convince anyone of your worth. And that alone is seductive, irresistible, unforgettable, because human beings are wired to notice alignment, stability, and confidence long before they notice beauty or words. And as my energy stabilized, subtle dominance emerged, not in control or coercion, but in the quiet insistence of standards, in the effortless presence of someone who no longer compromises her internal rhythms for approval. And when you embody that, everything around you reorganizes, from your interactions with men to your friendships to your professional environment, because presence is magnetic. And magnetic energy is memorable. And if you are feeling that pull, that awareness that energy precedes attraction, comment your takeaway, because awareness anchors power. And power expressed authentically shapes reality without effort, without drama, without manipulation. And the second week taught me that the real leverage in feminine power is internal mastery, because the body is the true vehicle of influence. And once you understand that, everything external begins to respond as if it always wanted to, aligning naturally with the energy of a woman who is regulated, intentional, and sovereign. By day 30, the transformation was undeniable. I moved through spaces with an almost imperceptible gravity. Conversations deepened effortlessly. Men leaned in, genuinely engaged. No tricks, no games, no pursuit. And women observed, intrigued, absorbing the subtle energy cues that signal self-possession. Because confidence anchored in internal alignment is more alluring than beauty, more persuasive than charm, more lasting than performance. And philosophically, this is where the magic of regulated femininity reveals itself. You stop negotiating presence and start commanding it. Not aggressively, not loudly, but inevitably. Because the body, when balanced, communicates stability, safety, and value without words. And desire, attention, and respect follow naturally. And I want you to understand this deeply. The woman who masters her hormones, her energy, her cycles, becomes dangerous, not in a threatening way, but in the sense that she cannot be ignored. She cannot be undervalued. She cannot be underestimated, because alignment is inherently memorable. And once you embody that, you step into a frequency that people respond to instinctively, unconsciously, magnetically. And if you are listening, feeling this pull, comment "I needed this" below. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and rewatch this video, because the path to internal mastery is practical, repeatable, and transformational. And once you take these steps, you will move through life not only more confident, more attractive, and more magnetic, but inevitably more sovereign, more unstoppable, and finally, unforgettable. And that is the kind of feminine power that changes the way the world interacts with you. The kind that cannot be replicated, the kind that leaves a mark without effort, and the kind that begins entirely from within. And here's the part most women never hear. The subtle truth that turns effort into effortless magnetism. When your hormones are regulated, when your sleep, nutrition, movement, and emotional rhythms are aligned, you stop showing up fragmented, you stop chasing validation, and you stop performing for attention, because your body is finally communicating in a language that cannot be ignored: clarity, stability, and presence. And this is where the confidence becomes truly dangerous, because it doesn't ask for permission, it doesn't negotiate, it simply exists. And existence at that level is irresistible, magnetic, unforgettable, and every interaction becomes a reflection of that energy, not a negotiation of desire. And you notice it in subtle ways. The way people lean in to hear what you say, the way strangers respond to you with respect before they even know your name, the way colleagues listen more carefully, the way men who once distracted or confused you now appear attentive, present, drawn in without conscious effort. And this isn't magic. It's chemistry, psychology, and presence working together. Because humans respond instinctively to nervous system cues. And a balanced, regulated body projects abundance, safety, and desirability without effort, without drama, without manipulation. And that alone makes you unforgettable. What shocked me most wasn't how others responded, but how I responded to myself. Because alignment gave me clarity, calm, and self-trust. And once I trusted my internal cuechanger, fatigue, energy, emotional signals, I stopped misreading situations, stopped overcomplicating interactions, stopped romanticizing inconsistency. And suddenly, my energy became intentional, coherent, and magnetic. And this coherence is addictive, irresistible, subtly dominant, because people are drawn to systems they can't replicate, rhythms they can't predict, presence they can't manipulate. And the beauty of it is that you don't have to perform. You don't have to prove. You don't have to manipulate outcomes, because presence does the work for you. And psychology confirms this. People respond to energy long before they respond to words or appearances. And a woman whose internal system is aligned doesn't have to demand respect or desire it's inevitable. It's automatic. It's undeniable. And every man, every colleague, every woman who observes her senses it, consciously or not, and is drawn to it. And that's when the dangerous, unforgettable confidence takes root, because it is anchored in self-mastery, not external approval. And self-mastery is the ultimate feminine power. By the end of 30 days, I understood the full extent of what alignment does. It transforms every facet of your presence, from the subtle tilt of your head, to the calm cadence of your speech, to the effortless way you navigate interactions. And it rewires how people perceive you. Because when energy is regulated, presence is undeniable, and the confidence that emerges is not fragile. It is sovereign, unshakable, and intoxicating. And men who once overlooked you now recognize, without understanding why, that you are no longer negotiable, that your time, attention, and energy are curated. And that is seductive in the purest, most dangerous sense, because it shifts dynamics without effort, without aggression, without manipulation. And women recognize it too, admiring quietly, curious, observing, absorbing, because they can feel the internal alignment radiating outward. And that is when you realize that true feminine power begins inside, with self-care, regulation, and respect for your own body. And once you internalize this, the world responds accordingly, effortlessly, inevitably, and memorably. And if you are hearing this and feeling the resonance, comment "I needed this," subscribe, turn on notifications, and return to this video as often as necessary. Because the kind of confidence that comes from hormonal balance, energy alignment, and presence is not fleeting. It is sustainable, unforgettable, and it transforms the way the world moves around you in ways you have only begun to imagine. And once you step fully into it, you become unstoppable, magnetic, and permanently unforgettable.